Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dragon Talk. How are you guys doing in chat? I just wanted to give a shout out because there's so many awesome people here in the chat, including Anna Prosser. And
Anna?
Yeah, she's in here. Satine Phoenix was in here, I think, or at least it's Maze Arcana. I'm not sure if it was Satine or Rudy, or maybe it's Routine.
Now
it
I'm
could
nervous.
be both of them.
Now I'm nervous.
I know. As well as Abby Marie, good people, Dilligan Gaffern, Obo Crazy, all my favorites. Random AK, what's up, dude? How are you? And Mazmataz is in there. Hello.
Mazmataz.
Good to see you guys. And awesome. That's right. Yeah, we said your name. Hi, Anna. Very cool. We are going to do this amazing interview right about now. And we're going to do our intro. Bill, you can kind of chime in because you're kind of ignoring the fact that you're going to be there. But Greg Marks, we're going to point to you and start talking to you maybe about 5 minutes, and I don't know, you can kind of join in if there's something, if it moves you, but I just didn't want to make it too weird while we do our intro talking about what's happening with Dungeons & Dragons. Does that make sense?
Yes. Did you ever watch The Magic Garden when you were little?
No.
It was on WPIX.
I didn't.
Okay, anyway.
I thought you were talking about Secret Garden for a second.
The Magic Garden with Carol and Paula. This is the garden of make-believe, whatever.
No, I never saw that.
Oh my God, it was the best show ever. But when you were just saying, oh, I see Mazmataz and Satine.
Oh, yeah.
There was a part at the end, and they were like, I see Rachel and Heather and Michael and Tommy. And like my brother and I would just sit there and we're like, oh, please see Mike and Shelly. Please see Mike and Shelly, please. They never saw us.
But they never did.
They never did.
I bet they said Michael a few times.
Maybe, yeah.
But they probably never said Shelly.
They might have said Michelle maybe once, but I don't respond to that.
That's not a real name. No one has that name.
Derm name.
Clearly no one at this table.
Nope.
Except for Bill.
My name's Bichelle.
Bichelle with one L.
Starbarf, you get an award
Starbarf.
for having the best Twitch name I've seen today.
Starbarf.
Good on you, sir.
Good job,
and it's
Starbarf.
6 months. 6 months in a row, Starbarf.
Subscribing?
You're my friend. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, he's got the amazing...
Haven't lost Starbarf yet.
No, you think.
He's still hanging on.
Happy birthday, Rob. Rob is on there, too.
Happy birthday, Rob.
He sent me some minis from back in the day a little while ago.
What?
Yeah, that's Rob. He's on there. Rob Petal.
He's no Starbarf, but...
He's no Starbarf.
But it's his birthday.
I mean, that is the better name. But it's good to see. All right, so enough of us talking to Twitch folks. We're going to start our recording for this episode. This one is going to go next week on the RSS feed, and it will also have the Slod Lori Show, which we just recorded.
Slod?
Yeah, so I'm getting better at knowing exactly when these things will going. So think about transport yourself to next week and having people listen to this next Thursday. Okay? You there mentally? Everybody in the chat, you guys there mentally? The one Hypnotic, thank you for now after my thanks, you can now think about yourself being on Thursday, January 18th, right? That's not it. What's?
I don't know.
7th?
No.
17th. No. 7 plus
Oh, we're talking
7
about Thursday.
is 14th?
Yeah,
I don't know how to add.
Doesn't matter.
We need to get a calendar.
Professor Marks, help us.
Thank you for just starting the recording, Ryan. Welcome to Dragon Talk, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Greg Tito, and I'm joined by...
Shelly.
Hi, Shelly.
How you doing?
Good.
Mazanoble.
Oh, that's your last name.
Not to be confused.
What's your first name again?
Shelly.
Shelly. Okay, good. We also have Bill Benham here
What's
in
up,
front
Bill
of us.
Benham?
Yeah.
We're going to be talking to him as well as Greg Marks from the D&D Adventurers League, 2 admins.
And 2 Greg.
Which is short for administrator.
It is.
That's true. Not administration, but administrator.
2 admins.
We'll talk all about D&D organized play, what the D&D Adventurers League, and what it means to you, the listener. Very soon after that, right? That's going to be really exciting.
Yeah.
We'll have some other fun Dungeons & Dragons stuff to talk about. For example, Xanathar's Guide to Everything is out in stores, and it's really great, and people love it, and there are so many subclasses that you can try. What's your favorite one that you haven't been able to try yet, Shelly, but you really want to?
Oh, you know that one.
Oh, the Drunken Master?
Yeah.
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 I knew it.
I like to method act that one.
Makes sense.
Been practicing
like a
for
young
that class
Brando
all my life.
through the door.
The truth is, we have so many amazing things happening in Dungeons and Dragons, but I just can't tell you about them yet. That's the crazy thing. Everybody at this table knows about them. Everybody back there knows about it, but we can't tell you yet. It's coming very soon.
Do you know about them, Bill?
We've been planning amazing events, amazing stories, amazing D&D Adventurers League adventures on the Dungeon Masters Guild.
Greg gets it.
What else? Some monsters you might be able to play with. Just throwing that out there.
Just throwing it out.
Monsters maybe you haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Ever
In the world.
made ups.
Made ups in imaginary town.
They lurk.
You'll be finding about that in 2018. You'll also be going to some various locations that we haven't visited before in the Dungeons and Dragons universe, perhaps.
You don't know yet.
You don't know.
You get to
That's what I'm
find
saying.
out.
I'm just trying to.
So
I'm trying
everybody
to tease this
but
out
me.
Yeah.
Okay, Shelly, I'll let you know. It's Kill Seder. What?
No
That's where we're going.
way.
Yeah. Pretty crazy, right?
We're going
Binghamton,
to kill
New
Satan.
York.
Yeah. It's actually Poughkeepsie.
Oh,
Oh, everyone's
I went too
favorite.
far upstate.
End of the blue line. We're going to Poughkeepsie, everybody. What dangers lurk there?
The Facts of Life, wasn't that set there?
Was it really? That's where
Wasn't
George
that-
Clooney was
No,
born?
wait,
Get
maybe
some
it
good,
wasn't.
get some bad.
Begins with a P. Oh,
Get them both. And there you have Facts
I'm
of
gonna have to
Life.
The
Google
D&D
that.
Adventures League. The D&D Adventures League.
Well, we were doing the
They
18
were like
thing earlier.
They were like
Dun, 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 Adventurers League. Dun, dun,
Dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun.
There's an A in Adventurer.
Dun, 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 dun.
the Facts of Life, though. They were like a D&D party.
Basically.
Yep.
Yeah. Who's the wizard?
5 of them.
Tootie.
The two. Eh?
That was way too fast. That was easy.
He's been thinking about
Yeah.
this.
Blair is the bard, right?
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
What are some of the other? Joe?
Joe would be the fighter,
Gotta be
Yeah.
the fighter.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Natalie.
What? The cleric? She's got to be the cleric. She's.
Mrs. Garrett's the cleric.
Oh, well, it just
That
rhymes.
almost rhymes.
Yeah.
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 Mrs. Garrett's the cleric.
All right. So, who do you think Natalie is?
She's like the,
Rogue.
I guess.
I don't know. There needs to be a rogue.
Yeah, there does.
Natalie's it.
I think she's
Really?
the cleric.
You do?
Yeah, I think Mrs.
She's
Garrett's
the
like
funny.
the patron.
She's very funny though. What's
Yeah.
the
So
flip?
there could be funny clerics. They're like trickster gods.
She's
She's like
more-
she's the cleric of a trickster god, perhaps.
She's more bardy to me,
That could be.
and I
her.
think Blair is more.
Maybe she's the cleric.
No, she
Rogue.
wouldn't.
Rogue. Barbarian.
Maybe.
Barbarian.
I
I
don't
feel
know.
like she's more wizardry.
We gotta open this up.
Sorceress.
We gotta open this up to more people. If
Yep.
you could figure out what the Facts of Life cast were as D&D party, go. Let's
Yes,
get some fan
let
art
us
going.
know.
You can message it to me at Greg Tito. I'm on the Twitters, and then
Do you know that Tootie
we'll
was
spread it out
on
there.
The Real Housewives?
Yes,
Atlanta?
of Atlanta. I did know
Weird.
that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
They called her Tootie a couple times, and they're like, no, you don't.
She's like, don't make me put on my roller skates.
She had roller skates.
Tootie was always roller skating on the Facts of Life.
I went to the roller skate rink this weekend.
You've been doing that.
I know. I feel like it's not now my go-to.
Shooting the duck? Is that what it's called?
What is that? When you
Raising
go-
the bird?
We
What?
did. We were all holding hands at one time, and we did like
The
whip a little bit. And Edna got. She's like, "No, I don't want to go fast." And I'm like, "Oh, all right."
With you, Edna.
Yeah.
Shoot the duck, though. Isn't that a thing?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's like this. When you have your squat down, you stick your
Oh!
leg out in front of you.
Yeah, like Angus Walker doing the duck walk.
Yeah, kinda.
Right.
Shooting the duck.
Shooting the duck
the
at
duck.
the roller rink.
All right, we were not shooting the duck. We were limboing. I did do a limbo.
Really?
Yeah, I went under the
I
thing.
didn't know you were such a good skater.
I didn't know either. It's all coming back to me now.
I was just lying dormant
See, I
inside.
just call it
Back
falling
to
backwards.
me.
That's
On
the-
wheels.
Just backwards and then I scoot.
I didn't fall once, guys.
I'm not a wheels.
I'm just throwing it out there. I didn't fall once at the roller rink. I was there for like an hour.
How many kids did you knock down?
3.
In your quest to stay upright.
There was lots of tears, but none of them were mine.
And one of them didn't get back up again.
You get my way, you stay down.
I didn't fall once.
Sorry, Timmy.
All right, so enough hilarity about roller skating rink. Let's listen to some really fun and amazing lore about Slod.
Okay.
They're fun.
On skates.
They're slotty, is what I found out. That's how you pronounce them. When
How?
You knew that. Slotty.
Slotty.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what?
Plural.
Slaadi. Slotty.
Yeah. Now you know. I've got like 4 jokes that I can't say, so I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to go right to the segment. So let's throw some bings, maybe some bongs. Pelham, you know what I'm talking about. All right.
Not all right.
I feel like even though we don't have a lot of coffee right now, I'm a little bit like jazzed up on caffeine.
You're kind of fired up.
It's Bill's presence.
It's Bill's presence.
That's what I do. I'm very inspiring. My presence.
Raise them up. Raise them up. Dead kings of the roller. I did not kill anyone at the roller rink. They just didn't get up.
Yeah.
They're just maimed.
He didn't kill them. They're just not alive anymore.
No, they just can't stand.
Yes.
Or roll. I mean, I guess they could roll their bodies. Well, whatever.
Roll their.
We're still filling time here, guys.
Greg walks into the roller rink.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, Mathemataz used to roller derby. I want to know so much about that because they do roller derby at the roller rink in West Seattle. It's all over, and we want to go and see
The
it.
roller rink in West Seattle.
Heck yeah.
Well, it's in Whit Center.
Really?
Yeah, it's right over. I live like right up the street from that.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I do not roller derby. But that's where the Rat City Roller Girls, they're from White Center.
That's where they're from.
Yeah.
That's where they...
And they're going to have an event coming up pretty soon.
I didn't know there was a roller rink there.
Yep. It's close to like Roxbury.
So for those of you in the chat, we're going to get Greg involved right now. I don't know why we didn't beforehand.
I know.
Sorry, Greg. Bill just kind of took over. I blame Bill.
Bill said he didn't want you to be involved.
That is not as a bold-faced lie. Uh-oh, he's typing comment.
But now we are going to start this up for reals. You ready? All right, good. Are we doing the mid-show? You've been recording this whole time, haven't you? Damn it.
It's gold.
This is comedy gold.
Comedy gold, ladies and gentlemen.
All of it.
Stop drilling. You've hit oil.
So I feel like there was
do you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey.
Yeah.
I swear I added really, really hilarious things to that previous part. Trust me.
I totally
They
believe
were
you.
great.
I totally
They're going to be
believe
the
you.
best things I say the entire time.
Nice. I love it.
I'm
And then no
happy.
one could hear it. It went into the void.
It's in the ether now.
That was a really good segment on Slod, and now I want to invite more Slotty to dinner. Yeah, because they are always just a joy. Is that true?
That is.
I do enjoy a slod for dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. On the side next to your hot dog and potato chips.
Yep.
Yeah.
A little bit of slod.
Some Slotty.
Yep.
Some
Coleslaw.
coleslaw.
Slotty.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Yeah,
that's
we
rough.
did. We
I was
totally
waiting
did.
for that.
All right, everybody. We are here to talk to Greg Marks, who is calling in via video conferencing. Hello.
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 Where
How's it
are
going?
you calling from?
I am calling from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh,
the
hi,
good land.
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Also known as the Good Land.
I was there this past summer. We should have hung out, Greg, and then I could have killed you because there can be no more Greg.
What were you here for?
I came. My
Greg
buddies and I,
convention.
we flown to various places to go to see baseball games. We hadn't been to see Miller Park, and we went to Chicago most recently. And we're like, let's not go to Chicago again. Let's go to Milwaukee. And we're
Did
like,
you
"All right,
see the
cool."
sausage racing?
We saw the
That
sausage
is my
racing.
favorite thing ever.
That was the main reason we went.
I
Was
don't
to
think
see the
I've still
sausages
to this
race.
day have ever laughed as hard.
It is-
And I just experienced such joy watching.
So let's say, hypothetically, you don't know what sausage racing is. Aside from picturing sausages.
What do you think it is, Bill? I'm
So-
really curious to see what you think it is.
I'm picturing dachshunds in really silly costumes running around
Close.
Oh, no.
because sausages can't perambulate. But
They can in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Our sausage have feet. Where do you think sausage comes from?
It runs to your door and gets in your
Yeah.
icebox.
Hello!
And gets ready to get cooked.
so someone, before we jump in all this awesome D&D Adventures League stuff, sausage racing?
Sausage racing.
There became this thing in the aughts or the 90s where they would do fun stuff during the seventh inning in baseball parks. And one of them,
Seventh
correct me
inning.
if I'm wrong, you might know this better, Greg.
Good. Keep going.
And one of the ones that were introduced was this at Miller Park, where there was 4 brands of sausage that got in on this, and a guy dresses up in a costume, or a woman dresses up in a
Don't
costume
know.
suit, and they run
It's a
around
very
the park
long, tall, skinny costume.
during a break
Yeah.
between innings, and it's just as funny. And there's
So-
So
people
they fall.
fall down. And
You've got they're all quite more or less, ethnically inappropriate. You've got the German sausage in his lederhosen and the chorizo sausage with his big sombrero, and you've got a hot dog dressed in a United States flag type costume thing, and etc.
yeah, and they usually get volunteers, right? It's not people who
Oh,
are
it is?
who know how to run in,
But I
in
think
these
some
things.
of them a lot of them are college students. Last I saw.
Oh, really? That
Yeah.
makes sense. I want to do it. Now I actually want to
Yeah.
like volunteer to be
Yeah.
in the thing. And so they run around and it's funny and it's like
It's so
most
fun.
everyone's drunk by then, so it's the best part of the party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
would go to see like
it's
3 hours.
Wisconsin,
of that.
so to get in with your ticket, you have to drink a pitcher. Unless you're under 5, and then it's only a pint.
Oh, that's fair.
This
Having been there once, I actually believe you.
no, that's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has to be an old-fashioned.
Oh, well, that's your drink after that's your chaser.
Oh, that's your okay. Okay.
I like
I got
Milwaukee.
Yeah, unless you're 6, and then it's Shirley Temple's your
you.
chaser.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys are part of the group called the D&D Adventurers League,
Yes.
which has been around for years and years and years. Came from the RPGA kind of thing, right? Is that where the organized play of Dungeons and Dragons has been around for years?
It is a continuation of that fine tradition. What would you say OP really took off in the form we recognize it? Like Living City, maybe?
Well, Living City would be the first that people recognize.
What is Living
Yeah.
City for those of us who don't know?
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, don't know what Living City
Asking
is.
for a friend.
Asking.
So back,
It's a callback.
what was it, 90? Oh, I'm gonna forget the exact year. Regardless,
Late
so
90s?
they had this idea that they were gonna have the chance to take your character and come play at a convention, play adventures, and then you would level up and you'd take it with you and you'd bring it back to the next convention. It's basically how we do it now. And it was set in the Forgotten Realms, just like we were, but it was set in the city of Ravensbluff. And that's why it was Living City.
Interesting.
So the living part is that your character follows you around to all of these.
Right.
Yep. I could go to like when this is done, because I really dig D&D. Who would have thought? I'm actually going to the inaugural night of a new Adventures League game at a lovely bar over in West Seattle called the Two Finger Social Club.
Oh.
So we're gonna go
Over
there.
in White Center.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's a
they're
new one.
doing D&D events?
Yeah. Just tonight is the first one.
Are you kidding me? Because
Shelly's going.
I want to go.
Shelly, I will send you the meetup invite.
So side note,
note.
the West Seattle blog, which I'm a very big fan of.
Amazing.
But I remember them posting about this new club opening, but I didn't know that they did gaming events.
You know what? Myself and the Beerbarian Douglas Bailey went down there.
Whoa.
Bum, bum, bum.
And
He was just talking about the
that's because he's awesome.
Barbarian.
We went in there and talked to the owners. The owners said, "Hey, we would love to have you guys Monday night." So
Oh
now
my God.
Adventures League there. What the hell was I talking about?
So, all right, going from
Sorry.
Living City,
This is so exciting.
to then Living Greyhawk.
right?
Yep.
Which was the idea that you could then play in the the default setting that was D&D at that time was Greyhawk, so you could take that and you could go play it, and it was following the same rules, so everybody could feel like
Yeah.
you were all on the same pace.
You can go to a Living Greyhawk game anywhere, just like now. If I play an Adventures League character in West Seattle, and then let's say in February I'm going to Winter Fantasy, where I will see Greg and a bunch of other cool people that I generally only get to see at shows. I can play that same character at Winter Fantasy. Boom.
yeah.
With people that I only get to see when I travel around the country.
Right, and there's also the element of like a almost like MMO, like for lack of a better term to say it, like that. There's other things that you can interact with that are in this meta game. Correct.
Yeah, there's persistence. There's an overarching narrative that you participate in. It's like being in a really big home game with thousands and thousands of people.
Oh, that's
But
I like
you're all
that.
different levels.
Yes.
When you go to different shows. So
Yes.
how are you pairing each other up?
That's a fantastic question,
Thank
Shelley.
you.
We have our levels are broken into different level ranges. So levels 1 through 4, levels
Okay.
5 through 10, 11 through 16, 17 through 20.
Okay.
So you
And
get
you
together.
can play together potentially in, for example, it used to be called interactives. We call them epics now.
Yeah.
So you can't sit at the same table with your second level character as someone who's 16, but you're in the same room playing parts of the same fight, and your tables interact with each other. And in fact, in some parts of it, you could actually interact. Like if there's a more social interactive part, your characters could cross paths. Like you might know something that the 16th level character needs to know to finish their next part.
Yep.
Oh, that's neat.
Oh,
so
that's
they could act as NPCs almost in other people's.
Well,
things?
it's like you're still playing your PC. It's just that sometimes you'll get up and trade information with other tables.
Yeah.
Like
Oh.
maybe you, for example, fought the goblins, and the goblins had a map, but it's a map of an area that's not on your battlefield. And you talk to the 16th level guy. Oh, wait, it's a thing they need to know. And so you could hand that off to them, and then when they go back to their table to play their next encounter, it's of value to them.
Cool.
Yep.
And so there have been a season for, so that was Living Greyhawk, and then it kind of went to Living Forgotten Realms and into many incarnations until 5th edition. I'm skipping through a lot of history.
That's perfectly acceptable.
And then there's been a season for each of the major campaigns that have come for Dungeons & Dragons in this edition. So there was the Tyranny of Dragons campaign, then there was Princes, then there was Out of the Abyss, right? And so each one has had like a series of adventures that you could now purchase on the Dungeon Masters Guild that you'd be playing in the same content that everybody else in the Adventurers League is playing.
Yes. And so what we do, we have our narrative that kind of it works with the hardcover book so that you can play the hardcover, you can play that with your Adventurers League character, and then decide, you know what, we're going to maybe want a little bit more XP and a little different experience before we go back into this part of the hardcover. So then you can go out and play some Adventurers League adventures, jump back into your hardcover, and it's really a seamless experience that you can then share with a whole bunch of different people.
And the story is not the same. The story, it's ancillary. It's like stuff that's in the same vein, but not necessarily.
Exactly.
You're not going to be repeating content.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
Does that make sense, Shelley?
Yes.
Now, what do you
Sounds
guys
awesome.
do for the Adventurers League?
Well, Greg and I are responsible for wrangling our authors. So we have, how many adventures do we have this season? 18, not including epics?
19, I think, isn't
You
it?
say how many what? Did
Adventures.
You? Adventures.
Because there's the last trilogy is actually 4.
That's right. So 19 adventures, that's potentially 19 different authors. Then we have our epic adventures. There's authors for that. We have community-created content or convention-created content, which is adventures that conventions create specifically for their show. So we help make sure that that gets from kind of flash to bang, that it gets done appropriately and can get released for people to play. So we wrangle the authors. Once they're done getting their adventure written and reviewed by our content team, who will be on this amazing program later this month, I think.
That's correct.
Yes. After they give it the once-over, they go back, revise it, we put it out into the wild for people to play, and then Greg and I are responsible for making sure that the conventions who need content, so people actually show up and play and have a good time, we make sure that they get that.
Greg, was that all right? Was that correct?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I mean, we also help provide support, right? Like any kind of support conventions, we're one of your go-tos for, hey, I have a convention or I need help getting my convention together. That's another thing we do. And truthfully, I'd say that our team is, in some ways, we pick up each other's slack. There's definitely times when one group has a particularly challenging task, and of course, everybody pitches in. So there's some of that as well.
Teamwork makes the dream work, baby.
So 19 adventures, and these are only playable at conventions?
No, they are
you
playable
can
at
play
home,
them. Okay.
at a store, at a
But
convention.
anything that's being written for the Adventurers League is coming through you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And I remember that was a change because it used to be stores and was where we would supply this stuff. And then when the introduction of the Dungeon Masters Guild, when Chris Lindsay came on and talked to us about this, gosh, that was like, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
I think it was around the same time, about 2 years ago. When we first introduced that, then anybody could play and use that, get that content, and then the purchase price of that on the Dungeon Masters Guild, which is only like $4 around that for
or less.
Yeah, or less.
Yeah.
Goes to help pay the authors, the people who are putting the money towards it. So everything that you purchase goes towards them.
Yep.
So what's the lead time on getting 19 adventures done for a season? How far in advance are you guys working?
About 9 months to a year.
Yeah. I would say 15 to 9 months, depending on what it is.
Yeah,
I'd say 16 to 9.
Well, because it depends on when the planning meetings hit. Because we often have planning meetings at beginning of the year and end of the year.
Yeah.
Sort of like September and February, whenever Winter Fantasy is.
Yeah.
So,
we're actually
and not all seasons are the same length. So.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be talking about Season 8, which actually there are parts of Season 8 that Greg and I both contributed to creating. We'll be talking about what that's going to look like here, I think Chris Lindsay said, next week. So
that is cool.
It's about to happen.
Yeah, and Chris Lindsay is the architect of this whole
He's
program.
our boss.
Yeah.
Yep.
And a lovely fellow.
Lovely.
I called you a lovely fellow, Chris.
You should rub his head. He likes it when you do that.
He does not
Just
like
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true.
He does not. Please don't do that.
Everyone should do that. But you're going to need to have a drink in your hand when you do it to hand to him. It's like
I've
the
done
cost.
That's, well, Yeah.
This makes sense.
I stuck a butterfly on his head once, and he let me take his picture.
So,
It's true.
Greg, when did you start playing Dungeons and Dragons?
I played my first game at the age of 6.
Wow, really?
I played in the Open. Yeah,
What Open did you play in?
the D&D Open.
The only one?
Well, the Open at it was at UW Parkside. I can actually tell you this story if you want. It's quite
Yes.
hilarious.
Yeah.
My father heard about this thing called Gen Con, and a friend of his played war game miniatures. So my parents were divorced, and he's like, I'll take you to this thing. You'll like it. There'll be games. It'll be cool. So here I am in a hallway playing with, I think it was a G.I. Joe, and this big adult, mind you, I realize now he was probably about 19, comes up and says, hey, kid, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm playing with my G.I. Joe. And he's like, great, you're playing D&D with me. Come with me. And he walks up to the person who's mustering, and he says, this is our alternate.
Oh my-
And I realize now it's round 2 of the Open, and somebody didn't show.
Oh.
And the guy who's marshalling goes, this is your alternate.
You
He's
were
like,
6?
Yeah.
Where was your
absolutely
dad?
My dad was actually off playing a minis game. So I
Kids,
sit down at the table,
not
and the
okay.
other guy's like, here, you're playing the fighter. Roll this D20 when I tell you. I kicked down a lot of doors. We killed a lot of orcs. Needless to say, we did not advance.
Aw. But that was your
But
first
you were
introduction?
6 years old. He's
Yeah,
like
that was
Edna's
my
age.
first D&D game.
That's a hoot.
Nice. All right, so in order to get my kid to start playing Dungeons & Dragons, I'm just going to drop him off at a D&D
Yeah.
convention.
Just leave him at a show.
Bring her down to Two Finger Social.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Just leave her
We'll
there.
get her hooked up.
College kids and see if they'll tutor him.
It's
I love that.
exactly what we teach our kids not to do.
Oh, just all she needs is a bindle full of dreams, man, and the right college kid.
I'm playing with my
She's
G.I.
got that.
Joe.
She has got that for sure.
Little does that 19-year-old know what he started, what he ignited
Yeah, I have
in
no
you.
idea who that guy was anymore either.
That guy was Ed Greenwood.
No, Ed was already like 40.
I've been
then.
then from that, I mean, I've been one of the admins of just about every OP program since Living Greyhawk since then.
So when you were 7, they were like, "We need you back."
We need you to start writing some adventures.
No, but I think I just like started college.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, being in Wisconsin helps. I mean, there was definitely a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of
It's
in the
homegrown.
water.
Yeah, there's D&D in the water.
Literally.
I in fact used to live in Lake Geneva.
It's a beautiful town.
Yeah. I remember going on my birthday to get some sushi once, and the only other person eating in the restaurant was Gary Gygax.
Aw, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did he slay? Was he having a dragon roll?
No,
Good one.
actually. The
Good
waitress
one.
started walking me towards him, like, for some reason, I'm like,
You two
is she
belong
going to see me
together.
at the table with Gary Gygax? Am I going to get to eat lunch, because it was my birthday, with Gary Gygax? And then she sat me, like, one table over, and I'm like, oh, of course, why would I even have thought that? But I got all excited.
Aw,
Then he just stared Gary down while he was having his California roll. I love your work.
I want to be you.
Oh my god.
That's pretty interesting.
That's awesome.
What about you, Bill? When did you start playing Dungeons and Dragons?
My story's nowhere near as cool as Greg's.
Make one up.
Told you.
It's D&D.
No, you tell the real one and then tell us the made up one after.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel better now about lying because it's just make believe. No, I started playing when I was about 8.
Late bloomer.
Yeah,
Compared to
compared to Greg.
I could have taught you how to play the game.
Exactly.
Come
He
over.
would be the older kid.
Exactly.
dragging you.
So I was actually in Colorado, so nowhere close to Lake Geneva. But I had these two. The cul-de-sac I lived in, I had these two neighbor kids that played D&D, and to that point, I had only ever gone. There's a Walden Books like right down the street, and Walden Books had this thing. It was the
For
Monster
our
Man.
listeners who don't know what Walden Books is,
Yeah.
Or what bookstores are.
So Barnes & Noble, make it really small, and with none of the multimedia, you got Walden Books. There you
Just
go.
books.
All right, just books. It's very, very analog.
I like that there was a Massachusetts accent for that because
Yes.
that was where
Yes.
Walden Books was from.
Is that what that was?
Kinda.
Don't make fun of my muddled accent. So I kept seeing this book, and it had this like these awesome pencil drawings all through it called a Monster Manual. and I would go and annoy the holy hell out of the staff that worked at the Walden Books because this nerdy kid would sit and just read through the monster manual and deities and demigods because they had all these cool monsters in it. And that was the coolest thing. And then my neighbor friend said, hey, you should totally, that's Dungeons & Dragons, you should totally play with us. And I did. And then my mom said I was going to start worshiping the devil. Oh. And it was the 80s. It was the 80s. Yeah. So I did for a little while.
Start worshiping the devil.
Yeah, just a tiny bit.
Which one was it?
It was Moloch.
Okay.
I was a total
He's
Moloch
the one that
groupie.
in the pug suit, right?
Yeah, he is in a pug. I really enjoy pugs, by the way.
Just as an aside.
That's just as an aside.
We learned so much.
Devil worshipping
pugs.
They can go hand in hand.
No, seriously, my mom tried to, more my mom than my dad, like, no, absolutely not. You will not do this because it will warp your brain and you will lose your soul. Mm-hmm. And that was 20, crap.
So that brain is looking pretty warped.
Yeah, thanks, Moloch. But no, I've been playing since I was 8, and I've played other role-playing games. I had a bit of a hiatus when I joined the military, and then when I moved out here to Washington State, my best friend of many years, over 22 now, one of the other admins, Mr. Travis Woodall, said, hey, you should totally come play this game of Dungeons & Dragons. Got this new 3rd edition. It's pretty awesome. And I went from being a player to I was a administrator for Living Greyhawk and then for Living Forgotten Realms. And then when this job came open, I said, man, this new edition's awesome. This is something I want to keep doing, helping people have fun.
That's pretty cool. That's actually pretty analogous to my story with the devil worshipping and the not being able to play until I was like, I can make my own decisions.
Darn right. I can eat ice cream for dinner. I can worship devils if I want to, Mom. So
exactly, but only in the game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
exactly.
So you kept playing even though she said you couldn't play?
She basically forbade me. Man, I hope my mom doesn't watch Twitch. She's technologically illiterate, so I can say all these things. She won't hear about it.
Does she listen to podcasts?
No. So she said, He-Man, no. Satanic. Dungeons & Dragons, no. Basically, everything was all the cool
Teddy
things.
Ruxpin.
Whoa. Teddy Ruxpin's the worst one out of the bunch.
Yeah. That golem-like little bear.
Yeah.
No, man.
No.
You take the cassette tape out, and then you press a button, and he still talks.
You're
like, what? I took the cassette tape out. It's clearly...
I want to be your friend.
No! Only Satan would say that.
Or a pug.
My God.
Or a pug.
Or a pug.
That's true. So that's pretty interesting that you went. And what's been the through line through the organized play that you kind of see from when it started to what we're doing now?
The through line for me is for all the stigma that gets associated with gamers. Like, oh, they live in the basement. It is an innately collaborative endeavor that brings people together who might not normally have a good social outlet, all right? Maybe they don't want to go to the bar or whatever, but this brings them together, allows them to be creative and express themselves and have fun and make new friends, and that's really the through line for me is it's a way to... The best friends I have in my life, with the exception of a couple, are all people that I met gaming. All people that I met through gaming.
That's
so,
one
all
of my
about the
favorites.
social.
I see that at conventions a lot. That I've been at a table with people who didn't know each other, and they've left the table together. They'll be like, "Oh, I'll take you there. Let's go. Let's go have lunch." Or, they're like, "Oh my God, they're friends. It's so sweet." But yes, I think that's very noble of you.
That is the through line.
It happens.
Makes sense.
The golden thread.
I've seen it happen.
Golden thread. And it's fun. I mean, I don't want to keep harping on the 80s. Like we do,
but we can.
But that was
So
what
let's
one criticism that my parents said was like, oh, I knew someone who did this and they didn't have any friends, and that's it was because of the Dungeons and Dragons. I'm like, well, it might have been something else that reason that kid didn't have any
And
friends.
he probably had friends because he did play Dungeons.
Exactly, and things like Stranger Things and things like that. It's kind of hammered that point home that it's like about camaraderie and you don't get that kind of shared experience, doing anything else really.
No.
Literally any other game.
Yeah. Anything? No, I wouldn't. I don't even just say game. I want to say activity.
There is something about that though, because you always hear these origin stories. They always start with like the neighbor or a random 19-year-old stranger. But somebody,
Wait a second. Dial it back.
maybe actually we don't hear that one that often. But he's like the neighbor, the older sibling, whoever. But like there's always like the group, the friends, and they're together still. It's my gaming group, or years and years and years. And I don't have friends from that far back. I didn't play D&D when I was little.
If you had.
Who knows?
I wish I had.
I know, right? But that's why we're going to Binghamton, New York.
Yes.
It's randomly how I met Chris Tulloch for the first time in a Walden Books.
No way.
I just read that.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I totally picked up a D&D book off a shelf, and all of a sudden I hear behind me, "Hey, do you play D&D?"
Oh.
I love D&D. And then he comes up and he starts talking to me, and I'm like, who is this?
And he never.
I can
did he
just
stop talking?
picture him. He's still talking to you at that Walden Book right now.
And then we ended up being High Folk admins together back in the LG days.
So what is High Folk? What is that?
Back in Living Greyhawk, every state or a couple of states, based on number of average players in the RPGA, had its own region. And Wisconsin, being one of the most active of states, was by itself. It wasn't grouped with anyone else because we had large play numbers. And so High Folk is a region in Greyhawk with elves and forests and orcs, and one of our big bad is I Use the Evil, who at that time was Mr. Jason Bullman.
And there's
Isn't he still?
Yeah, he's pretty much still is the evil.
Good.
IU's has been a bad guy for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. I like that regionality where you're like, we're from a place, and then so therefore we're like on the same,
So we were in charge of writing the adventures from that area.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I love that. I mean, the people in here have been kind of lashing onto it too. The idea of like there being this cooperation and meta like story and stuff. And I love. And even you mentioned the magic item emporium that you can buy stuff and that like becomes part of it. Like,
although you didn't mention that when we were recording.
Oh, all right.
So before we were recording,
to recap,
let me take you back in time. No, there is one of the things that Greg and I work with. Pretty considerable number of shows now. Well, actually, before I jump into Phi Chen, the first year of the Adventurers League, it was about 16 different shows, like conventions that asked for support. At the close of 2017, we had over 362 requests for content at different shows. And that's
my God.
From
worldwide?
Russia, Italy, Australia, New Zealand, Brazil.
That's like a 2,000% growth rate there.
It feels like it.
Does it get localized?
Does that math check out?
I actually think that he's probably low.
Is it low? Yeah. It's a 3,000% jump, and that's a lot.
But it's fantastic because it shows how much people have latched onto it, and the fact that these either shows that didn't exist are growing, or you have smaller shows that are getting big shows that are getting bigger. Like it's fantastic to see that level of enthusiasm.
Well, I was telling Shelly about me playing. I played in a D&D Adventurers League thing on Friday night at Gameporium in Delridge.
Yeah.
And there were 3 tables. They were full. There were people being turned away because there wasn't enough dungeon masters there to serve it. And it's not a big place. There's
go be the dungeon master.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna blow it up.
Well, I'll play in your game.
Sweet.
Okay.
But yeah, no, there's just I feel like there's more and more events like that where it's standing room only, and more people want to get into it. And this is a great. What D&D Adventurers League does is it gets past the. So do you want to play a game? Let's find it. Let's go get a location. Who's gonna host? Yep. What are we gonna play? And like you get through a lot of that socialness, and you can just sit down with the character that you made, and you can just instantly start playing.
Yep.
And even those people who don't really super enjoy playing in a public space, you still go and you meet people, and maybe that's how you start up your home group, right? There's plenty of friends I play with online or even in person now that still don't like to go to cons, or not nearly as much as I do, but I wouldn't have met them if not for the RPGA or the Adventurers League.
Yep. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, Greg. There's a show down in Dallas that was put on by a veteran who created a convention specifically. The way he set it up was specifically for people who had mobility impairment, or maybe they did not particularly care for being in public places because of various phobias or whatnot, but created a space where they could come and play, or people could connect via remotely. And he kind of brought it all together. People that wouldn't normally be able to go to a convention, bam, Adventurers League, I have a convention you can play at. So I was talking about Fai Chen, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's talk about who
Please.
is Fai Chen.
Fai Chen is a merchant of some renown who travels the Forgotten Realms, and he's able to procure various and sundry magical and mundane items, all kinds of cool stuff. In reality, Fai Chen is it's items basically that people can purchase or trade for their characters, and different conventions or larger game days request it. We send the packet of information out to them, and then people go get to trade and barter and have a good time and find cool stuff for their characters.
And it has to be said that the economy is controlled a bit. So it's not just like, oh, one dungeon master can be like, you get 5,000 gold pieces.
Get all the things.
Now you can go shop at Fai Chen and get everything. Like there's a bit of rules of what you can get after each adventure based on how well you do or what you do.
Very cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Number of things you would... No, I'm kidding. Yeah. It's controlled by the adventures, yeah.
Which is interesting because it's an interesting design element to think about, not just what's going to happen at your table. Because, we don't always think about that even here on the podcast when we're talking about what... what matters at your table matters, right? Like it doesn't matter what everyone else is doing at another table. Like it's just, is everybody at your table having fun? But you guys have to think about many thousands of tables. And
many different levels.
Yeah, Greg, maybe you could talk a little bit about the challenges of designing for that number of people.
Well, it's always rough because you know that whatever somebody gets, they're going to take to somebody else's table, and maybe that DM doesn't have exactly the same play style. So you have to control that. And so when you think about adding Fai Chen into that, we have a trade system where if you want to trade an item, it has to be the same rarity. So you basically keep the power level the same. Anything that you can buy with gold is either a consumable or sort of a novelty thing. Like you'll see in chat, a lot of people are excited about some of the pets and mounts and more creative things we've done. Like you can buy a gambling debt. Is one of the ones that's currently in this season, which is a
gambling
great
debt?
background. Yeah, you can bet with, and
That
you
sounds
may
like
know
a bad gamble.
You can bet with a troll named Big Trevor. He might be near you somewhere.
Mr. Kid.
And you lose, and you end up owing Trevor a whole bunch of gold. And then every adventure you roll, and Trevor does something to try and get his gold back from you. And this keeps going on until you roll enough bad things where potentially you can basically get your money and perhaps a benefit back from Trevor.
Wow.
So we do a lot of nifty things like that, like creative things that are fun but won't change the power level of your game. So your friend who goes to the convention and comes back, he might have this cool role-playing shtick, but it isn't gonna. He doesn't have a +5 holy adventure because he managed to go to a con.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair.
I like that.
So can you walk us through the writing process? Like, where do you find your writers? Do you assign them the task? Do you say, we need this story, we need this story, we need this location, this level? Or do they come up with that? And what's your involvement?
Those are fantastic questions,
I am
Shelley.
nailing it today.
You are killing it. So,
Lift you up.
dun, 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 dun.
Didn't
That's a good question. So, sorry.
I want a theme song.
Well, we're gonna Rodgers and Hammerstein you out of here, so it's gonna be good. You're gonna get your own. Oh yeah. So, basically, we every season actually we work with the story Bible that's here at Wizards that kind of gives us the overarching details of what the season's gonna be about. From there, we sit down as a group and we come up with...
Who's the group?
The group would be myself, Mr. Greg Marks, Claire Hoffman, Travis Woodall, Alan Patrick, and Lisa Chen.
Oh, okay.
So we
all people we'll be talking to
we-
over the next month or so here on Dragon Talk.
Wow.
So we come together, we come up with a story arc that's going to complement what's going to be in the hardcover, okay? And then we think of what level ranges. So you want some low, mid, high level play.
Right.
Okay. We think of what magic items and kind of things are going to be in those, and we come with just a paragraph or less synopsis of what the adventure is going to be about. What's the beat?
You guys come up with
Yes,
that.
we come up with that, and then we have all those concepts. In the meantime, the DM's Guild has been a boon for finding people to
see?
to write.
Gotta
So
write for the
DM's Guild. So go through there and look at not just, look, Matthew Mercer sold 1 million copies of the thing. Well, yeah, he's Matthew Mercer. He's super popular. But we look for other people who've written quality items that are well-reviewed and then I reach out to them and say, hey, how would you like to write an adventure with us? In one case, actually at Meeple's Games in West Seattle.
Yes.
We do indeed.
There is a lovely employee there who was running a game for a group of tweens. And
Is this the D&D camp person?
yeah, runs D&D. She was, her ideas were so innovative and so interesting. I said, hey, you would be really good for the next season that we're writing. And then I think she cried a little. But then she got over it, and she said, yes, I will totally write for you. So, yeah, it's stuff like that. Other times people just reach out to us, say, hey, can I write an adventure? All right, well, send us a writing sample. Yeah. And there we go.
And then you assign
CCCs as well.
Yes, same thing.
Make sure. So that's another great way. The con-created content is there's about 6 times as much of it in the pipeline as there is for our regular Adventurers League adventures.
Mm-hmm.
So since they have to be written to the same style and format as our adventures, they're easy to review, and they still get a lot of AL play, and we can see how those authors do. That's a great proving ground for people as well.
And then say, why don't you come write a story for the main storyline, and then yeah.
How exciting!
It is exciting. So we obviously can't talk about season 8.
Even though it's going to be
great.
super.
Well, we all know that. I mean, like,
Yeah.
right. I mean, I know what it is, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
I'm gonna tell you all in chat right now. Just kidding. I don't actually. But tell us about season 7. What's been going on in the Tomb of Annihilation storyline?
Well, that's we're up to. I think this month, out of the 19 adventures we've released, up through number 10 as of January, off the top of my head.
Do you do?
I believe we're at 10.
Yeah.
So yeah, is it a staggered release? Talk about that a little bit.
So we usually, like, for this one, we did kind of a preview adventure for Origins. That was typically the first adventure of every season is like 5 mini adventures kind of pop together, and it's good for new players, and it's good for we use it to kind of get the flavor and feel of what the campaign is going to be like. Then we kind of sprinkle in some low, mid-level content, and then for this year, towards the end of the season, because the hardcover caps at 12, 10, something like that.
11 to 12.
11 to 12. So then we write content that still deals with kind of the aftermath of the hardcover adventure.
True. Yes.
This, man, I don't want to.
The denouement.
We've announced a little bit that
you go for it.
When
I don't wanna
that
give anything away.
hardcover ends, the big bad, everybody knows it's the Lich Azrak.
Yeah.
When that ends and you stop, it's on the cover. I'm not spoiling.
I thought that was my uncle.
Greg.
Yes. Well, it is your uncle.
All right.
The adventure's about your uncle.
No.
Once you're gonna ruin me. Once that actually ends, his plot has had worldwide ramifications, and there's some big players that have decided to get involved, and that's our tier 3 and tier 4 content comes out right basically once the hardcover ends.
By players, you mean other big bads in the world?
Yes.
Okay.
Steeped in lore.
All
Steeped
right.
in lore. Yeah, it has a lot to do with a particular big bad who is sort of entombed in Chult. A really, really major big bad.
Is it IU's?
It is not.
Dang it.
But that would be perfect.
I thought that, right, because there's some Greyhawk, with a Sararak. Man. Well, in my head canon, it's IU's. I'm just throwing it out there.
Do you ship it?
With the 2 of them?
Is it shipped?
Yeah.
My stepdaughter taught me about ship it, so I kind of use it inappropriately sometimes.
I don't think that was appropriate, but I think those 2 big bads should be hanging out together.
They are now shipped.
They
Heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Greg Tito, shipping the big bad.
We're shipping the bed all over the place. All right. Well, is there anything else you guys wanted to get out before that terrible joke happened about what you guys do for D&D Adventurers League?
The thing I wanted to say for those who are interested, like in starting up a convention, or you want some content or some cool stuff for a show that you're already doing, or you want to learn more about what it takes to write for the D&D Adventures League, or whatever the case may be, submissions at dndadventuresleague.org. Shoot us an email and be happy to talk to you.
And it's DND.
The letter N, D, adventuresleague.org.
There you go. Cool. What about you, Greg? Did you want to get out anything else?
My number one thing would be, because it's the question I hear all the time, how do I write? And the biggest thing I can tell you is put yourself out there, right? Get a con to sponsor a CCC, put something on the DMs Guild. Please put something on the DMs Guild. It's the easiest way for us to find you.
Yep.
Be involved. Go to a con, say hi to us, come to a seminar, send us an email. Just be involved, make a contact, and we'll keep you in mind.
Yep.
Even before that, how do people just find out about where local places that are running D&D Adventurers League games?
We have a con map that you can go to through our website, dndadventurersleague.org. That'll show you the cons, and then obviously the Wizard Store Locator is a great resource to take advantage of as well.
And our Facebook groups. We have the D&D Adventures League Facebook group that has now 30,000 members now.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, I think we're over that, aren't we? Are we 50,000?
That's a lot of members.
It is
it's crazy.
It's a buttload. And then there's a D&D.
Do you have to wear the members only jacket when you play?
Another
I
80s
actually
reference.
always wear a members only jacket and my Kangol, Greg. So
You are in like Flynn from Tron.
But we have a pretty robust Facebook presence where you can also learn state by state, city by city, what's going on in your area.
Yeah, and since we've been finding there's 4 places in 5 miles of your house
the
that
hotbed of gaming.
There's a lot of gaming in West Seattle.
There's a lot of wizards in West Seattle
There's
too.
a lot of wizards.
There's a lot of wizards
are
walking around.
a lot of bards,
A lot of bards.
a lot of they're playing
You're gonna
the
change the
Pearl
name to
Jam music.
Wizard
They're not really
Seattle.
bard, they're buskers.
Oh,
Yeah,
you would,
they
would you?
busk.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I'm just messing with you.
But yeah, the store locator is a great thing because the lion's share of D&D Adventurers League happens in game stores and in those public locations.
Yep.
So look for those and college campuses. I mean, that's where.
Oh yeah.
Which one of you had the story about where you found it? Was that it was at the college campus and how you found it all there too. So there's always going to be a flyer up somewhere at the student union.
Flyer up.
Yeah. I don't know where that came from, but I like it.
I know. I was like, is that a
Flyer up!
Fire up.
And if you're running a D&D Adventurers League, you got to flyer up, man.
Yeah.
You got to get those flyers and
You want people to come to your event?
You're talking
Flyer
about
up.
the 80s. Remember those old zines from the 80s?
Get some zine
like
up.
the punk rock zines.
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff like me.
The 80s?
people are making lots of. There's a Dice Camera Action zine that people are making. I know there's that Adventure zine that people who follow the Adventure Zone.
my
And
God.
zines are coming back in a big way.
Wow.
It's retro, bro.
You know what?
Totes.
Walden Books is going to be back.
Walden
Yeah,
No,
Books.
it's
There you
not.
go.
Walden Books is dead as fried chicken. Amazon made sure of that. So
That's sad because I'll miss hearing stories about kids discovering the monster manual at
Nope.
Walden Books.
now they're going to discover it on Pinterest or I'm dead serious.
Or from us.
yeah. Or from
Whoa.
us.
Oh, I know, right? Not so. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Greg. Where can people get in touch with you on a more personal note, whether it's through social media or whatever?
Sure. Obviously, I'm Greg Marks on Facebook and Google groups and all that stuff. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at the poorly chosen Twitter handle of Scarrett7H3Green.
That's totally intuitive.
How many times have you said that?
That's exactly what I would have done.
I usually use that phrase for every interview because I really, really regret it now that I actually have to use it for cast.
That's how I feel about my email.
I think you can change it.
Personally,
I think you can. There might be a cost associated with it, but look into it.
Twitter will Scarrett. What was it again?
It's Scarrett and then the in lead speak 7H3 Green.
Oh God.
Yeah. It was a horrible choice. I own it. I totally own it. It was
So
not
proud
the
of
right
you.
choice.
I'm so proud that you own that.
You didn't know.
Yeah.
You didn't know.
I mean, at least my icon isn't a pug. I mean,
Oh.
my icon is the
So
old.
you won't get that until you go to Bill's Twitter page, which he's about to tell us.
Which is bill.benham2. I think I have like 15 followers because I never tweet anything.
You're gonna
also,
have 16
I'm
now.
gonna follow you.
Yeah. And actually, Mr. Marks, my Twitter avatar is a picture of the Venture Brothers, one of my very favorite televised programs. However, if you look for Bill
Damn.
Benham on Facebook, you will see a fat pug saying heck. That is the picture of me.
Heck.
Yes. That you will see. Bill Benham on Facebook. Bill Benham.2.
Bill.
I don't know who the first Bill Benham is on Twitter.
It's the same
It's like
person that has
Avalon
Avalon.
Hill. I had to be Avalon Hill too on Twitter.
That is unacceptable.
It totally is.
Yeah. I'm
I'm looking for you right now.
known as the reclusive admin on Facebook.
I
What?
That's funny.
I don't.
As in,
no
he
sense.
rarely responds.
I don't
I
like.
can't find you.
I do tons and tons of like email my the submissions at dndadventuresleague.org.
You run that?
Or resource at dndadventuresleague.org. Those are actually the best ways to get in touch with me.
Great. You're going to get like 400 people
Oh,
being
you have
like,
125 followers because I just followed
Shut the front door.
You do.
What the French toast? That was
You're
worth
gonna get
it
a
for the
lot
look
more.
on
But
Shelley
Greg
Randall's
now
face.
has 598.
What?
on Instagram. You're talking about Instagram.
I'm talking about Twitter.
Twitter.
Oh, Twitter.
I only have
So
Now I have a goal to shoot for him.
you do.
Yeah.
That's right. You can.
We're gonna
You
help
too
you.
can do it.
I'm gonna do it.
Well, thank you guys so much. I hope
for having us.
this conversation does not steer people away from D&D Adventures League. It points them towards it.
Especially not. What was that guy's name? Star Poop.
Starbarf.
Starbarf has been in
Starbarf.
here, and he's been saying lots of great stuff. So he
Sweet.
is in it to win it.
I like Starbarf.
Me too.
Shelley, where can people find out about you and what you're doing and how to pester you about Avalon Hill stuff?
Well, you can go to Avalon Hill and pester Avalon Hill Twitter at Avalon Hill 2. Feel ya. And I'm on Twitter at Shelly Moo. Pester away.
Pester
Do it.
away.
Do it.
Tell her how much you should be dungeon mastering in West Seattle, not just being a player.
Playa.
6 p.m. every Monday. Two Finger Social.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
It's across the street from Drunky Two
I'm
Shoes.
gonna go. I'm gonna.
no, it's
set
up the street from Drunky Two Shoes.
Up the
Do
street
you
from
know
Drunky
that's
Two
what my
Shoes.
character, my last D&D character was named? Drunky Two Shoes after that barbecue joint.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that
She
a
was
great tabaxi
Tabaxi.
name?
So I mean,
Makes perfect
obviously,
sense.
You should always be a tabaxi.
I agree.
When given the choice.
Except for my character, where I have a tabaxi with a tressum, and I roleplay the tressum. The tabaxi's job is to carry the tressum.
For those of you who don't know, a tressum is a small winged cat. A winged cat.
Thank you
That's
very much.
telepathic.
That's telepathic.
I feel like you're like in password, where it's
I
like
know.
the password is
Small winged cat.
Almirage. Thank you guys so much.
This
It was a
was
lot of
fun.
fun.
I did enjoy
We got to
this.
have you back, and we'll talk about the next season when it actually gets announced. That's a good idea, right?
That would be awesome.
All right, we like
Would
that.
enjoy that.
Season 8. It's great.
I think I'm going to sign off here. We don't even know.
Did you say where you are on social media?
Right. I'm Greg Tito. Hi, I'm at Greg Tito. I'm also on the Instagrams. At Greg _ Tito, because apparently there's another Greg Tito on Instagram, not on Twitter. I know, right? Crazy.
Can't win.
So you can also find out about Dungeons and Dragons and what they're doing at Wizards _DND on Twitter. The Facebook page is got lots of likes, and they need another like. So please go there,
Always need more likes.
find out more. And also, Trevor Kidd has been posting a lot of Instagram stuff on the Wizards _DND Instagram account. So go follow that too.
I heard he's a troll, though.
He is.
He's
He
big
might.
bad
is,
troll.
but, he's a fun troll.
Okay.
He's gonna shake you down for that gambling debt, I think.
Seriously.
All right, everybody, we are out. This is a fun first recording of Dungeons and Dragons for 2018. Wait, I don't know what I'm doing. We're closing out this episode and saying good night to you and
night.
have a fun time. We will be back next week on Dragon Talk.
Flyer up.
Rocks fall, everyone dies. All right, and now I'm going to talk to you, Twitch folks. You guys are wonderful. Thank you so much. I love everyone in here, but most of all, I love Merciful DM because she has been talking the whole time about all the amazing stuff that Lisa is doing in here. She's doing great stuff. We'll be talking to her and a whole bunch of other Adventurers League people in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Lisa is crazy awesome, too.
She is crazy awesome.
We've talked to her. We talked to her
have.
recently, didn't we?
We did, and we're going to do it again.
You did?
Wow.
We're going to do it again.
So much to talk about.
Yeah, because she did
So
all the
much
Christmas
Lisa.
stuff, all the holiday stuff. So we talked to her and Ryan Wheaton about
Right.
what they were doing.
Oh, yeah.
right?
That's right.
So I was going to try and bring up what we were talking about back to that, but it never really
That's
came
all
up.
good.
Whatever,
That's
they get enough anyway.
Yeah.
This is the best part of the show, Lisa says, because it's all about her.
It really is.
It really is. It's true. And there's a Genericon in Troy, New York. You should go to that.
When?
When is Genericon slit 518? Oh, bye, Greg. Greg is out.
Wow.
We're changing the name of this to Lisa Talk, and we'll be talking to Lisa all the
Okay.
time.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's all Lisa all the time.
What I like about Troy, New York, is that there's a Troy, New York, and an Ilium, New York, and I always was like, they should be the same.
Ilium?
Ilium is
Cecum, jejunum. That's parts of your intestine. Sorry.
Oh,
Also, good names for D&D characters.
I know, right? Better than Drunky Two Shoes.
No, I have a friend with a character named jejunum. So yeah.
Friday, March 2nd. So you got to go to Troy, New York. It looks like
the day before my brother's birthday. I could do a little visit.
What?
Now that's not. Is that in upstate New York? I don't actually know.
Is it by Albany? Is it by Albany?
I think it's by Albany. I want to say it's by Albany.
It's going to be really cold. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, you never know by March.
That's true.
Could be their summer.
Yeah.
Also, Ilium, New York might not be a real place. That actually might be in a Kurt Vonnegut novel.
I don't know.
It's in a Kurt Vonnegut novel.
It's possibly in a Kurt Vonnegut novel.
Possibly totally made up.
There's a good chance he's going to do like the guy from In the Mouth of Madness and just send you to a place in upstate New York that doesn't exist, and you get eaten by the devil.
There might also be a clown there.
Yeah.
With some red hair.
Red hair. Yeah.
Some things happening.
Bend a little bit of reality. You know
everybody who's still paying attention to us on Twitch, you're amazing. We love you. Thank you so much for all the subscribers who came in and subscribed.
Yeah.
You're the best. I like it a lot. We're going to play, speaking of liking you, we're going to play a little ad for you here at the end. But those subscribers will get to see all of us continuing to do what we're doing here.
Instead of an ad.
Instead of an advertisement, as my not British mother-in-law calls it.
Yes.
Seriously?
I don't know why. Seriously, it's like the one, like she doesn't say schedule or boot or anything like that, but she says advertisement.
We interrupt this advertisement to blow your mind.
It happened. How awesome is it going to be the whispering and then the yelling and the laughing very high?
So good.
So good.
So good.
All right, we're out.
Bye.
You guys are the best. We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.